Alright, today on the channel I'm going to make a Sub-Zero mask and also make a neck for it since it looks ridiculous without it. Apologies in advance since I do kind of go off the rails on this video, but it was hard for me to stay on track working basically 30 hours straight on it. Alright, the base of this build is patterns 1, 2, 3, and 4. All these are cut out of 3mm EVA foam. I wanted something thin for the bottom of it. I'm going to glue all these together with contact cement. Wow, I look ridiculous. Alright, I got the shape into it that I wanted. Alright, just kind of rounded this front off so it'll fit a little bit tighter in my brow. Just kind of tweaked in a temple area and such. And just overall rounded this out as much as possible so it doesn't look all... I did also sand the seams with my Dremel. However, from here, I'm going to have to not Dremel every single piece, but almost every single pattern piece prior to even gluing it on. Dremel and heat form it. Patterns I'm starting out with here is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now for number 1 and number 3, there's only one pattern. For all the other pieces, there's 2. Trace 1, flip it over, make an identical one for the opposite side. So what I have here is 2 number 2s, 2 number 4s, but only one of each number 1 and number 3. I'm going to start with my number 1 hanging down off the bottom of this, and the point, this V here, is going to line up with this center seam. And I'm basically going to work from the center down. However, I numbered all the patterns from the top down because I thought I was going to work that way. So this will be interesting. Now each one of these patterns doesn't have registration marks. Part of the reason for that is I'm going to be sanding these and heat forming them prior to even putting them on. So that's not going to so much apply. But there's a large number in the center with a line under it that is the actual number of the pattern, and then all the little numbers on the side is where the other patterns meet up. Prior to doing my heat forming on any of these pieces, I need to put some contact cement so that I can join these two together. Next pieces I'm putting on are number 15 and number 24. Using the same process from here on out of sanding and heating these prior to putting them on. So all these pieces I cut out with scissors, except for these areas here and here. Actually, I'd use an X-Acto knife. But even then, it was pretty jagged, so I did use scissors to like round out these areas as best I could. The circles I didn't cut with an X-Acto knife or scissors. I made a cutting tool by just sanding down and sharpening the edge of a tube. This is actually from a Nerf barrel. The inside of it has these lines that also kind of act like serrations, which help to cut it. And I don't just push it down, I just kind of rotate it. They sell these, not Nerf barrels. I mean, they do sell Nerf barrels, but they sell actual plastic EVA foam cutting tools. So I haven't seen them at my local Hobby Lobby. I've seen a few kits to buy online, but I haven't done that yet. I've already applied the contact cement. There's an angled cut on this piece, and I'll line that up there. Try to get your edge as straight as possible. Just like that. And there's also inward cuts on these two sides here. Alright, I've heated and shaped this, which is basically just heating and pinching this to curve it, and pinching this to bend it over, and make sure these angles here are the same. And then I also heated and shaped this area here. And these, as I bent them, they just kind of naturally swept back like that. And it matches up fairly decent on the mask. Of course, now I have to build the rest of it. And the first piece I'm going to put on is 3mm, and it's the face accent A. I'm going to contact cement it on. However, much like the face mask, I went through and heated this and did the same thing by just bending it to curve it so it'll contact cement nice and snug. Alright, for the B accent, that's basically the chin, I went and sanded the edge prior to gluing it on. I also sanded sort of a channel from where it attaches on the corner up into the top piece here on both sides. And there it is, all the pieces on. I did have to round some of this down. Now in the back here, I just started putting a couple strips to bind these together. I didn't want this to come up very high, and the reason it is the way it is, in the front, I curled it over. That's so that I can actually turn my head a bit and move. And this here in the back is just so that none of this stuff will catch on here. It'll just move around as I move my head. And I've already did a test fit, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. I did put velcro to open and close it. And then I put these here. This is actually going to push it back off my neck to make sure that it's aligned properly so that the back of the mask won't hit it. If I had this flush and this came straight up without curving out, it would just run into the mask. Either that or I'd have to put it under it. Neither of which I want to do, and plus building the neck out a little bigger just helps make it look a little more feral and more like what's actually in the film, since the film itself has a pretty beefy looking cowl and neck. So there you see it with and without the neck. Maybe now you understand why I wanted to finish the neck and put it in the video, because I look like, well, my neck looks like a toothpick with a grape on top of it. Okay, the name I'm putting on the video today is Ben Groom. He was my cousin, and he's no longer with us, but he was the first person to introduce me to the game Mortal Kombat after my parents told me I was not allowed to play it. And he loved to play as Sub-Zero. So did I. But he would always play Sub-Zero, and I'd always play Scorpion. It's been over 20 years, and I still miss him. I wish he was here to see this mask, and I think he'd be hyped on it. He was an exceptional artist, especially when it came to drawing or painting hyper-realistic images, whether he's looking at just a landscape or a photograph of anything, a dog, a person. And he's what really inspired me and made me want to include as much detail and as much realism as possible to anything I do, and anything I do falls short of everything he ever did. And this video is for you, Ben, and that's part of the reason why the video is kind of a mess. Couldn't really stay focused in that sense, I suppose. Alright, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Thanks for sticking around to the end if you're still here. A few things about this. Like the face mask itself, like upon just gluing the base pattern pieces together, doesn't have a good shape. I had to heat this and shape it a lot to get it there. And then I either lost or just didn't record parts of making this mask. So, you know, feel free to use another face mask template with this cowl. I don't see why it wouldn't work just fine. Maybe even better. I don't know. But yeah, there were just a lot of things about this that are a bit more complicated than usual, like just the fact that the cowl is 54 pieces. Just the cowl, not even the face mask or the neck. So, and also the fact that typically I would want to go through and do like a couple builds like this and refine the patterns. And I wasn't able to do that with this. I mean, I could, but the sheer amount of time and effort it took to make this, to try to duplicate that 2 or 3 times over, like, I'm just not doing it. I mean, the fact is I just don't have the time. Between doing these builds, I'm cramming in online classes and applying for jobs. And I'm just kind of in a race to get as much stuff built and filmed that I can edit later. So hopefully that I get hired at one of these places where I've been developing these job skills and taking these online classes for, I will still be able to upload content. All I have to do is edit and put it up. So after this video, there's going to be a few more Mortal Kombat videos, at least in the next couple weeks, if nothing else. I already have a few Scorpion videos filmed that I haven't even put up yet. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and it gave you some ideas for your own projects. And as always, thank you for watching, and have a great day.